people? How's everybody doing? Hopefully good this morning. I'm on my way to work. Work 4 days, then off 7. I love this part of my job. This part of my job is good. I don't really care for the nights anymore. The nights suck. But this part is good. Couple more months till Colorado, getting everything situated. Had my brother here. He started getting my tools and all that and taking out there, and it's gonna be cool. But still got a couple months here. I'm going to be over the weekend. By weekend, I mean 7 days off for myself. So I'm going to be playing some craps at. I'm either going to drive down and see Larry in Shreveport if the wife wants to go, or I'll end up in Tunica probably. I would prefer to go to Shreveport, but that's the thing going to happen this coming week. Still haven't figured out what to do for 3,000 subscribers. Appreciate you guys for that. We're getting there though. You know, sometimes, like, being involved in something like this and wife stuff don't always mesh. So, like, my wife has one opinion and one thing that she thinks I should be doing all the time with this, and my ideas are much different. And hers are very selfish. Like, she doesn't want me to do anything without her. She wants to go do it all. But that's just not the reality of our situation. So, like, whenever I mention something that doesn't have her included, she gets all against it. But if I'd have said the exact same thing with her included, she'd be all for it. So it's sometimes it's funny. But either way, I'm gonna do something special for this 3,000. Still haven't figured out what. I would actually prefer to just send something to somebody, just in case one of our international people win it or whatever, because, you know, I'm obviously not flying to Australia, and I don't expect Australian people to fly here, or I don't expect Patty from England or to fly over here. You know, I don't expect it, so that's not something that I think is realistic. So I far prefer to just give something away. But anyway, for whatever deal recently, I've had people hit me up about how much would it be worth for me to know a way to never lose and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, first of all, there's no such thing. Second of all, I'm not buying anything from anybody. I'm not doing that. And I don't, if you're not willing to give to this craps community freely, then I don't want to hear it, because look, everyone can go buy them systems. They're all over Las Vegas. You can go buy seminars. You can go buy all this stuff, teaching people how to gamble, teaching people how to beat the casino. Or you can just go on YouTube and figure it out yourself. I mean, I just really don't like that. I'm not a billboard. I'm not a billboard for people. Craps Nation guys, they're not billboards for people. You know, the Craps Chat is not a billboard for people. That's not what this is about. We're a community of people that hang out with each other and do stuff for, you know, we're a Craps community. We're not trying to sell each other. We're not trying to sell stuff for other people. I just really don't like that aspect of it. And I think it's getting worse because this is what I think is happening. I think that these people are seeing that our community is growing and that we're getting more recognition in the gambling cities like Las Vegas and stuff as a group. Craps Nation as a group is, and I think they're seeing that as a way to possibly make money off of us. And it's just shitty. But, you know, either way, I don't think it's cool. And I'm not putting up with it on my channel. So I'm not going to entertain it or none of that. But one of the things that I just don't understand. Right, it's just terrible. I mean, why would you? You know, a lot of the people that are in our community have played craps for a long time, and I'm talking 30 years, 40 years of craps. You know, they've seen all these snake oil systems. They've seen all this crap that's out there. It's just like no issue with, yeah, see, I mean, I have no issue at all with people trying to teach people their style of dice control. I don't have any problem with that. But dice control is specific to the person. If you do believe in it, you've got to do it yourself. So if you do go to a seminar or whatever, buy one of those deals where they train you, you still have to do it yourself. You have to put the time and effort in to figure out what works for you. They can give you some pointers and some techniques and stuff, but you still got to do the work. So, like the crap strategies, snake oil sellers, the ones that promote these unbeatable strategies and guaranteed to win, it's all crap. There's no such thing. Now there's definitely strategies that win more often, but generally the strategies that win more often win less money. Whereas the strategies that don't quite win as often, they usually win more money. I mean, there's a lot involved and a lot of, like I've said lots of times, there's no one single way to win at craps. There's no one only way to win. There's all kinds of ways to win. I've seen it myself a zillion different ways. Guys doing stuff that I would never do, but they're doing just fine. They're killing it on the table because it's their style. They understand it. They know what to do. They're winning just fine. I mean, I've also seen guys that play the exact same thing and lose their butt. So I mean, part of it is just kind of the dice grouping that you're there for. You know, if you're there at the time that, you know, the horn numbers just go crazy and you're betting the horn, you're probably going to have a pretty good day. But if you're there at the time doing the exact same thing, and where there's them times where you just don't see no horn numbers for a while, probably not so good. I mean, does that mean that your strategy was bad? No. Just means that in that instance, that the dice were weird. I feel like when you develop strategies, when you figure out stuff you like to do, you should figure it out based upon what normally happens. And then when you have the variance, the good variance or the bad variance, that's they kind of even each other out. So if your strategy works well with what normally goes on, with 6 rolls, 5 rolls, right in there, between 4 and 8 rolls. If you figure out your strategy for that, and then the variance, good and bad, wash each other out, you're probably going to do okay. I mean, because you're going to be there for the normal, the consistent way the dice roll, your strategy is effective. I mean, obviously, if you're trying to play some kind of light side strategy and the rolls keep going 2 and 3 rolls and you go around a whole orbit and the table just is super, super cold, you're going to struggle. But that same strategy on a table that goes a table full of 6 rollers is probably going to do great. I mean, so it doesn't necessarily have to be some crazy long roll that, you just made all this money on. Like, as long as your strategy fits and attacks what it's trying to attack correctly, you'll be fine. It'll work itself out. Because the long, you'll land in the middle somewhere. As long as you're taking advantage, you'll be fine. And so that it's very simple. It's very simple to me on the idea behind how you should start with craps strategies. I know people usually start at the end. They're like, what is the max potential of this strategy? And that's really, those are anomalies. So it's really not where I ever start. I start, okay, if I wanted to be, the table average is average between 4 and 8, then I want to be on a strategy that wins by the 4th roll. I don't want to be on a strategy that I have to go to the 6th or 7th roll. So, if it does go short that day, I'm probably going to lose some money. If it goes a little longer, we see a lot of 9s and 10s, I'm probably going to win some extra money. But if it goes between 4 and 8, I'm probably going to make the money that I'm set out to make. And that's how simple I look at it. That's the very basic of what I start with, and then I progress from there, okay? How do I make that happen? How do I adjust for this? How do I adjust for that? And then I just build on it until I have something that is relatively easy and simple to do at the table and that is fluid. I don't like choppy type strategies where you have to make a lot of math choices. I want strategies that you make the math choice initially, and then from there you're either just pressing, collecting, pulling, whatever. It has to be really simple after that, because number one, I don't want to confuse the dealers, and number two, I don't want to miss something in my strategy. So I don't want to miss part of it while I was trying to figure out some math. That way, that way the strategy is fluid and it flows and it's easy. Guys, from all my experience, the simpler the strategy, generally the most effective. That's why the guys that go and just play the don't, they win a lot. Because it's very simple, it's very effective. As long as they don't catch some back-to-back long rollers. See you, buddy. As long as they don't catch some back-to-back long rollers, generally don't guys, they'll make it. They'll win some money. Then it just boils down to leaving when you win. I mean, and that's one of the huge, I've said this a bunch of times, one of the huge, most destructive parts of a craps game is not being able to leave the table. Not being able to leave when they're ahead. If you can leave when you're ahead, you'll do far better. And I get that some people have circumstance where they're very far from a casino and they're not able to go there and play for an hour and then leave. It just doesn't make sense for them. And I understand that. I understand where they're coming from. But what you can do is you can play for that hour, win, and then go do something else. And then return to that. It would be like a second day, a second session, whatever you want to call it. And return to that refreshed, brand new, and try again. So that's, in my opinion, that if it's not the biggest part of craps players losing, it's the second. Because I do think, yeah, you do. How are you, Mr. Joshua? Yeah, I agree. Having versatility is very important. But, you know, there's some other things. Like, I think you can't sleep. Well, I'm sorry. I think that not leaving when you're up, though, is one of the biggest problems for craps players. There's some other, I still don't think it's the biggest problem. I think the biggest problem for craps players, in my opinion, is trusting that they're a good dice controller. Because I've seen this way more than anything, is that guys trusting they're a good dice controller, and really they're not. It really burns them. And conditions, it seems like, oh, that table was just too bouncy, or that table was too long, when most likely you're just not very good at it. And I mean, that's, self-awareness is a huge part of gambling. You've got to be self-aware. You've got to understand who you are, what you can do at the table. It's like with the 4-2-4-2 set, for whatever reason, I roll sevens between the fourth and the eighth roll like clockwork. I mean, sometimes it goes before and sometimes it goes after, but they do the huge vast majority of them fit right in the middle, which leads me to believe that it's mostly just randomness, you know, because that's where them sevens land. Well, whenever I want a seven, I play that way. I showed it on a yesterday where at the end, which if I was in real life, I'd have never kept playing for $20. But I kept playing. I dropped another 900, so I had to go back to the dome, and I played some big dome bets and got it back using a specific attack on my game, on my own self, because I'm self-aware, and I know that, hey, I suck at this, so I'm going to use that to my advantage. And I did, and it worked, and I made my goal plus $600. So, again, some of that is reps and repetition and understanding what you're looking for, because sometimes I think people I have a different outlook on dice control overall. I don't think dice control works to dodge the seven. I just don't. I don't think you can dodge the seven, and I think it has to do with the dice. You could never be better than 16%. Nice. You know, you can never totally beat the 16%, because for you to beat the 16%, both dice have to do what you want. If one dice goes random, it's still 16%. And that's the big issue that I don't think that dice controllers realize, is that without both dice doing exactly what you want, it's still 16% against the 7. Now, what I do think is possible is I do think that dice control can box your numbers up. By that I mean it can limit the ones that you get more of. So like you maybe are a 7-8-9 shooter, where most of your rolls will land in 7-8-9. which is great. That's a great tool to know. That's a great thing to know, that most of your rolls are going to land on the 7, the 8, or the 9, because then you can play that way, as opposed to believing you're beating the 7 and it repeatedly crushes you. So if you're going to be a dice roller, in my opinion, that's what you should look at. You should look at what you are good at throwing, not try to beat the 7, because you're just going to fail. There are some people that can do it, obviously, because lots of people have seen them on repeated basis do it. But it's few and far between. It's far easier to just figure out what you're good at and attack that. And guys, this is something that I learned recently, that zero of the that train craps play craps for a living. I just learned this recently. I thought some of these guys played craps for a living, but as far as I know, none of the dice schools, none of do that, actually play craps for a living. It was actually kind of disheartening a little bit to know that these, besides the dice school, I'm not counting the dice school against the crap skin, because that's still kind of playing. But like, they all have separate jobs or own separate businesses. Or see, I thought that they were actually craps players that played for a living, at least some of them, and they are not. None of them are. So, and now, obviously, I don't know all of them, but from the information I got from a person inside their circles, he said that none of them play for a living. So it's all secondary, and I hate that. I absolutely despise that, because it just tells me that they don't believe in what they're doing. I hate that. Because guys, I'm literally trying to do only craps and only YouTube craps. Sports betting, YouTube. I'm only trying to do that for a living. That's what I want to do. Right. And I'm trying, now, obviously, I'm not only, that's what I want to do. And that's what I'm going to strive for in Colorado. I'm going to strive to be only that. Right? And where I have sports betting, YouTube, and craps. And that's my goal. So, we'll see. I'm obviously not there, but that's the plan. That's what I'm hoping I can get done. I mean, take example of this. People like Brian Christopher, the Slot Lady, Lady Luck. Lady Luck has a second job, but the Slot Lady doesn't, and Brian Christopher doesn't. All right? Literally, all they do is film themselves playing table games and playing slots. And they make enough money to survive. In fact, they make far more than enough money. Just if I was going to venture a guess, I would say that merchandise, none of any other ad deals or nothing, they make between probably 12 and 18,000 every month. So they were able to do it without actually being very good at anything. All they did was show it. So I think that I can get in that position where I can make plenty of money off of YouTube. That way I can be more involved in the craps community. That way I can be more out there and hopefully build my own tournament, because that's one of the things I want to get in on, is having a tournament done the correct way. Because I think craps tournaments are done the incorrect way. I think the way they're done is ridiculous, because they're done like slot tournaments. I think it's silly. you don't have to do them that way. You don't have to do them like slot tournaments. And I do think craps players would like craps tournaments. Now, the one big argument is that they're labor intensive, right? So it takes 4 people generally to run a craps table. So if you had a tournament, that's a lot of 4 peoples. That's why it would have to be real money. So it couldn't be like poker chips, where you're just playing for points basically, and once whoever has the most points at the end wins. Yeah, his was unique. But I don't want nothing. I'm not trying to do a YouTube craps tournament. I want a casino to get in with me. And I want a casino to allow me to present the group, the tournament format I've already written up and got built, and the rules and everything. That's what I want. I want an actual casino to host it. And I'm going to try in Colorado when I go there. I'm going to try to pitch it to them and see if they're interested. The problem with it is the labor. I think that's the issue. That they're going to be like, hey, that takes 4 people. We don't even have that many dice groups for dealers. But, I don't know, like, where a poker tournament only takes 1 dealer per table, which is very different. So what could end up happening in this craps tournament is there may just be no boxmen, or 1 box man for 4 tables or something. But again, it's an event, so they can bring people in. But I do think that dealers will be the problem. I think that will be the issue, that we're just not going to find enough dealers without being in Las Vegas. And I don't really want to be in Las Vegas. So, anyway, so that's part of my plan there, is to really get a lot of that going. And also, I would like to work with the Craps Nation guys and stuff on getting like regular group meetups with all the people, and actually make it more like a club where you actually go meet up, and we could get discounts at hotels and all that. But that's why I want to be able to foot the bill for all that, because so that's one of the things I want to work towards, because I don't want people to be on the hook for the money for it. So I want to be able to foot the bill for all those charges and all that, and that's kind of the idea behind. But I would like people to be able to just join in, get involved, be able to get discounts at hotels. These are some of the things that are further down the road that I would like to be able to maybe help with. Because I do think that there's a lot of potential with our group. I mean, most of our group is filled with people that have succeeded in life. It's filled with people that have retired from good jobs, have, they're self-situated, so, it's not like these people don't know how to do things based around business and stuff. A lot of them have owned businesses. And so we have such a strong group when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I really, so, and a lot of people have helped me along the way. And even if the Craps Nation guys don't want to be involved in that, I'll just do it on my own, if they're not interested in it. I'll just put it on my own club. But I do want to involve them because they're good people. But yeah, I mean, it's craziness. So some of the stuff that I've seen, some of the stuff on YouTube, on the chats, on the not the chats, but the comments. Just it's like what? Anyway, thank you guys for riding with me. I'm gonna let this go. Appreciate it. It was fun. Gotta rant a little bit, talk about some of the future, I hope. But I'm gonna work hard to get all this out, guys. Obviously, I'm dedicated. I probably put out more content than everybody except for AZ. AZ puts out so much content, but I'm right there probably with him, maybe a little less because he's just, I mean, he's on fire. Every day it's 2 or 3 videos, so he's awesome. But anyways, so I'm going to work towards some of these other things, try to help this community out more. They've helped me so much, so I appreciate you guys. Thank you for everything. Y'all have a good day.